sheets 1 through 5, and then 94 through 95. You could leave it. You've got to go. They're big enough. They can handle it. You better leave one of them in charge, though. They're looking on hold. I don't know which one. I'm going to introduce you as the unknown water fountain. I don't know if you guys want to get started.
Yeah, I think that's
fine.
good to, we have
We'll go
we have a
slow.
lot to go through, right?
Yeah, we have a lot to go through
So
today.
let's
We're
get,
going to start on page 63, the engineering department. I have our township engineer, Alex Palumbo, here with us tonight. And tonight, we're going to go through, well, I switched up the schedule because Alex has a previous engagement he has to get to. So we're flipping the recreation department and the engineering department. So we're going to start with the engineering department, so the streets and roads, shade tree, equipment repair, snow removal, parks and playgrounds, and water and sewer utility. That's how we're going to start out. So we're going to start on page 63, and we'll start at the 240 account, printing and binding. The appropriation, again, this is a very small budget, is $725. That's going to remain constant this year. And again, self-explanatory. It's for showing maps, map updates, and aerial photography. 250 account, conference and dues. That's going down slightly from $1,525 to $1,375. And you'll see the engineering seminars that was reduced a little bit from $950 to $850. 261 account, maintenance and other equipment, $960 this year, down $20 from last year. Again, we're going to reduce, let me see what happened here. Looks like it didn't total up right. Just bear with me 1 second. It's 980. It's exactly the same as last year. Let me tell you, it's amazing that Excel made a mistake. Moving right along, we'll move on to 270 account, cleaning supplies. This is for the carpet cleaning down at DPW. That's done annually, $250. That's going to remain the same. Uniform and clothing, it's a contractual item for all the DPW employees, $630. That's for winter coats, safety shoes, rain gear, and sweatshirts. 350 account, office supplies, $950. That's going to remain the same as last year also. The 384 account is going up $25. That's cleaning supplies. They went up a little bit this year. And all total, this budget's going from $11,207 to $11,196. Any questions regarding the engineering department budget?
Nope.
Okay. With that, we'll move right along. If you have to go, go ahead, Al.
Thanks, Council.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Jerry, you want to come up? I don't know if everybody knows Jerry Vidiello, our Superintendent of Public Works. And Jerry's going to handle the road department, shade tree, snow removal, so on and so forth. So we're going to go to shade tree, page 66. Again, this is a small budget also. You'll see 290 account is $21,800. It's bumped up this year. We have tree and stump removal, $1,500. Tree trimming, we're bumping up from $12,000 to $15,000. What happened was back in 2010, when the 2% cap was installed, we had to make major cuts to the budget. This was one of the areas, shade tree got cut real bad. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring it back slowly. So every year you see $2,000 or $3,000 increase. We also have money in the capital improvement budget, $40,000 for tree replanting. We probably spend about $60,000 in tree removal and tree planting every single year. But what we're trying to do is we're trying to get it back out of capital and back into the operating budget now. So that incrementally we're doing it slow, so it's not a major impact on the taxpayers. You'll see the tree and fall planting program. That's for what we replant every year. Now, besides this account for replanting, we have a tree escrow account, which when developers come in and they take trees down on the site, they have to post an escrow. And they have the option of either replanting the trees on that site, or we have a fund they can donate to, and then we replant them elsewhere in the town after they donate the money. So there are a couple of avenues that we replant trees every year. All total, the shade tree budget is going from $16,750 to $21,800. Anybody have any questions regarding shade tree? All right, move right along to page 67, streets and roads. We'll start at the 250 account, conference and dues. That's the $50 registration fee for Atlantic City Convention. The 299 account, storm drain and catch basin repair and catch basin cleaning, $5,300. That's going to remain the same. 320 account, clothing and uniform. Again, this is a contractual item that we're required. It's safety boots, rain gear, winter jackets, all that good stuff. $3,475. That's exactly the same. 330 account, books and publications. These are the POSHA regulations. CDL driver training. We pay for their employees' CDL licenses on renewal. So there are 10 at $58 a piece. And then if there's any new people that come in, we have new hires, the CDL license renewal fee, we pay for that also for them. And that's $655. Office supplies, $125, that's going to remain the same. The 370 account, materials and supplies, this is for road repair in the summertime, $3,000. Bituminous zero mix, $700. Miscellaneous road stone, road paint. Beginning every year, we paint all the lines in town before the youngsters go back to school. You'll see that happens. Lumber, casting, street signs and posts. Again, that account is $9,400. That's going to remain the same as last year. Fire and other safety equipment. It's first aid supplies. Basically, it restocks our first aid kit, $50. General hardware and tools. This is a catch-all account. Any tools or hardware that's needed, they take it out of this $2,500 appropriation, just the same as last year. Propane refills, $300. That's going to remain the same. General hardware and tools, small engine repair, lawn mowers, snow blowers, things like that. Anything that needs to be repaired comes out of this account, $500. All total, this budget's going from $287,061 to $292,357. Anyone have any questions of Mr. Vitiello regarding the streets and roads budget? Seeing none, move on to, let's see, what else we got for you, Jared?
You want to do snow?
Oh, we'll do snow removal. We'll go to page 73. On page 73, we'll start with the overtime. All the overtime for snow removal and salt spreading comes out of this account. You'll see there's $80,000 appropriated. Last year, this year we appropriated $83,232. The increase is because of the increase in percentage, 2%. So we bump it up by 2%. Private contractors, as the council's aware, the township does all the snow plowing for the whole town except from Bradford south to the Verona line. From that portion, we hire outside contractors. Rather than hire more employees and have them on staff all the time, we only hire the outside contractor for snow plowing for that section of town. And that's how it breaks out. So we appropriate $75,000 for that purpose. Reimbursement for food when the guys are out through the night, have to eat for breakfast, $850. That's going to remain the same. Vehicle parts and accessories, these are the tire chains and snowplow repairs, $3,000. The same appropriation as last year. General machinery and parts, snow plowing accessories, and any repairs to the snow spreaders, $4,500. That's going to remain the same. Here's one of the biggest items, rock salt. We appropriate for 1,600 tons. You'll see the price stayed the same this year, $59.97 a ton, same as it was last year. We purchased through the county cooperative system. For us to go out individually and bid it probably cost us more. They buy in larger volume, and we reap the savings with other municipalities in this county. So that's a $95,952 appropriation. So all total, this budget is going from $259,302 to 262,534. You'll see, all the budgets, we try to keep it as close as possible. Yep. All right, I think that's it for you.
Shade tree. Shade tree.
Oh.
Good detail.
Oh, you want to do shade tree? Okay. Let's go to,
605.
you doing parks?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to page 74, Parks and Playgrounds. We'll start at the 250 account, conference and dues, pesticide license and updates. We basically use a natural pesticide method here in town. Even as far as fertilizing our fields, we use a company called, I think Lincoln Landscaping. They do all natural. We try not to use any pesticides wherever possible. Sometimes it's not possible, and I'll give you an example. If there's a bee infestation, like one time we had one on the library lawn. Now that, unfortunately, we can't wait. We had youngsters being stung, so what happens, we have guys that have their pesticide license, we have them go there, and we'll use a chemical application, but only in those dire instances. We try to stay away from it. It's not good for the environment, it's not good for our residents, and that's why we try to stay as natural as possible. Again, pesticides for our fields, we probably spend about $20,000. To put chemicals on the field probably costs about $5,000. The cost to do it naturally costs so much more, but it's so much better for everybody involved that we don't mind spending the extra dollars. So just want to give you a little explanation on pesticide licenses, because people say, if you don't need pesticides, why do you have somebody with a pesticide license? Because there is that rare instance where we may need it, and we can't have somebody who's not licensed applying it. SMS Security, that's the security system down at the Parks building. Herbicides and pesticides, again, we have a few dollars in there to buy the chemicals in the event we need them, but we try not to go in that direction. Uniform and clothing, 320 account, $2,975. Again, contractual items, uniforms, safety shoes, gloves, and winter coats. 361 account, lawnmower and miscellaneous repairs, $2,000. Pretty self-explanatory. 371 account, building and materials. Every year, our ball fields down at Community Park, we replenish the ball fields. We buy special clay. You'll see it dumped back there behind one of the backstops, $1,100. We repaint the benches and the railings, just paint, $500. Lumber for picnic table repairs, $500. Safety wood chips. Around each of our playgrounds, you'll see the safety wood chips. They're special chips. They're just not ground up wood chips there. They're made especially for that, and we replenish those areas, $4,500. And then quarry processed stone. A lot of the pats, especially ones off of Bowden Road that come off into Community Park, after heavy rains, they wash out real bad, and we have to go back and put the quarry processed stone and reestablish them every year. That's where that money goes. So we appropriate $7,600 for that purpose. Garden and park supplies, again, this is what we spruce up every year, our parks, top seed, grass seed, townwide plantings, and again, bee extermination in the event that we need it. General hardware and tools, I guess that's just a miscellaneous account for parts and things that we need. 480 account, holiday decorations, and small engine and equipment repair, $6,550. All total, this budget is going from $223,990 to $227,780. Any comments or questions regarding the parks budget? Seeing none, I think we'll call up Pete DiGeronimo, our head mechanic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Equipment repair. And that will be on page 70. Just a little overview of Pete. Pete used to work for Northeast Equipment, and we stole him away from him. Only because every time we'd have small equipment repair and bring it over to Northeast, we'd have to bring our first child and your bank book for how much they charge you. So what we did is we stole him away, and now he fixes it for us because he's our employee.
Very
But
smart.
he does a lot of work, saves us a lot of money. You'll see our trucks, a lot of times you'll see the truck. Why our trucks last so long? The bodies normally rot out before the cab and the chassis. What Pete does, he'll take the bodies off, sandblast them and repaint them, and that's why our trucks always look like they're in great shape. Some of them are up in age, but we get extended life out of them because of the extra work that Pete does. So I can't say enough about him. Let's start at the 250 account, 261, maintenance and other equipment. Basically, these are the radio repairs, forklift maintenance, fire extinguisher repairs, smoke detector system down at the garage, and the SMS security system, $3,850. 262 account, maintenance and other improvements, overhead door repairs, we have a lot of overhead doors down at DPW, and maintenance and other items, $1,075. 290 account, fuel management service contract. We just replaced all the fuel tanks. They're all above ground now. You see our state-of-the-art fueling system there. Before, we had to send our fire trucks out that had the diesel loaded up. Matter of fact, we were sharing with Verona for a while. Now everything is done here. We don't have any more problems with underground storage tanks. We had to register with the state of New Jersey, pay the fees. You got to worry about if the tanks leak. You got major problems. All our tanks are above ground, but that's the fuel management contract. We have a company that does monitoring to make sure everything is okay. Life hazard use regulation, again, the state of New Jersey has to get their fees on everything, so we pay them. Underground storage tank registration fee, basically, we really don't need that anymore. We just kept that in there as a catch-all because all our tanks are above ground. I think we have one tank
We
left.
have one tank.
One tank, I think, what, Francisco
Avenue.
Francisco Avenue Pump Station, where we have an underground storage tank. Eventually, we will eliminate all underground storage tanks. Liability, environmental liability on underground storage tanks is enormous. And the sooner you get away from it, the better off you are. Moving right along, chemicals and gases, welding gas for the cylinders down at the garage, $225. Uniform and clothing, you'll see that in just about every DPW department because it's a contractual item, $630. Technical manual and publications, any specialized information Pete needs in publications comes out of that $75 appropriation. Vehicle equipment and paint, I just spoke about how it takes the truck bodies off, sandblast them, repaint them. That's where the money comes from to repaint the vehicles. Janitorial and household supplies. This is the hand cleaners, the rags, and the speedy dry for the floor, $335. Miscellaneous tools and hardware, pretty self-explanatory, $600. All total, this budget is going from $86,848 to $90,369. Anyone have any questions of Mr. DiGeronimo? Everything you'd like to add?
No, thanks for everything.
Thank you.
Thanks for all that you do.
Thanks for the kind words.
Okay. I mean them. We're going to move right along to water. And we're going to go to page... Go to page 96. And with us, we have Michael Jordan. And what can I say nice about Michael Jordan? Just about everything.
Nothing.
Just about everything. This man gives his heart and soul to this community. Not only as our water foreman, our former fire chief. I mean, you ask for a volunteer, here's a guy who's first stepping up all the time. So,
Greetings.
we're glad you're here with us, man.
I'm glad I'm glad I'm
Welcome.
the other alternative.
This is true. We're going to start with the 23010 account telephone. Again, this is the administrative lines. And you say, wow, why is a water department administrative line $13,500? Well, all the communication that's done between the tanks and everything else comes through telephone lines. And these are all the lines for our security system that communicate from the pump stations back down to DPW. So that's $13,500. Heat, power, and light, you'll see. There's a lot of money spent on heat, power, and light, but these are all the pump stations, lift stations that we have throughout the town. Vincent Road, Francisco Avenue, Eileen Drive, Commerce Road, Patton Terrace. These are all locations where Michael has pumps, and that's what distributes the water and keeps the pressure throughout the town. So that's $168,740. It's down slightly from $168,885. Water operating, this is probably the biggest expense in the water budget. You'll see in Reservoir Ridge, the water system there is basically the township of Montclair's water system through New Jersey American. But what happens is New Jersey American will not lease their hydrants directly to the Reservoir Ridge Homeowners Association. So what happens is, to support our residents, we let them bill us, and then we bill the Homeowners Association at Reservoir Ridge. And that's the Reservoir Ridge hydrant charge you see of $6,000 there. So really, we let them charge us otherwise, because they won't do it directly to them, and then we charge them back with a separate bill. It's basically rerouting so that the fire hydrants in there are maintained through New Jersey American. New Jersey water tax, again, the state of New Jersey, all the water that we sell, New Jersey gets a piece of the action, like with everything else. North Jersey Water District purchase. We are part of the Wanacue South consortium. We're probably about 5 or 6 towns, and we get an assessment. I think we're like 3%
Right.
of the total that comes out of North Jersey. Our assessment is $483,437. We pay it in 4 increments to North Jersey. And basically, our allocation is approximately 1.2 million gallons per day. Our ancillary water comes from the next line item, Passaic Valley Water Commission. So we get water from 2 sources. North Jersey Water is our primary, Passaic Valley is our backup, and we just increased our allocations from Passaic Valley. I believe we used to get, I think it was 0.15 previously. We upped it because we're going to have the Hilltop development, we're going to have more water purchasers. Again, we see this money that we're spending, but we charge our water rate users, and we recoup that money, hopefully with a profit. So basically, this is probably the largest expenditure in the water budget. It's going from $683,963 to $710,539. And again, the major water increase is in Passaic Valley because of the additional water we're going to need to purchase down the road. 250 account, conference and dues, $3,285. Basically, that's your confined space training, Rutgers courses, POSHA standards, things of that nature. Miscellaneous motor repairs, $4,000. That's truck tires and miscellaneous repairs in the water department. Maintenance and other equipment, cathodic protection, generator maintenance, meter calibration, SMS monitoring system, and pump and tank station maintenance, $24,700. Equipment repair, $275. Equipment rentals. Any catch-all that we need there. Fees for professionalized services. I'm going to let Michael talk to you a little bit about the Swift Reach program and the spatial logic, because I know that's one of his pet babies.
We're required by New Jersey DEP and Bureau of Safe Drinking Water to have a notification system. So when we have water outages or there's boil water notifications or we rescind the boil water notifications, it's a web-based system. You can register online through the town website, and it's individually monitored. You manage your own account and your own passwords, and you can put a number of numbers in there. You can put your cell phone number in there. You can put your home number. You can put your husband's. You put wife's. Put your kids' numbers in there. So when we do an area, we have a water main break in a specific area. We won't notify the town. We'll notify the area. So really, you could be 2 blocks away and not even know what's going on. You won't be notified because it gets nuisance afterwards, like a car alarm. After a while, you get these calls and calls, and you're like, just ignore it. So really kind of be specific towards the area and what happens in that area. The more we use it and the more participants we have use it, the better information they'll get and the more successful the program will be. So if you go to the town website under Public Works Water Department, you can register for Swift Reach and put your own information. It's similar to Nextel, but Nextel is ran by the police department, and they put out everything. We'll put out water notifications or rescinding or any other water main breaks in your area and water outages. So we'd appreciate that. That's the Swift Reach. The spatial data logic is we're working on being mobile and reducing costs for overtime and labor as far as, and have good data instantaneously. Like we monitor the tank levels, the pump performances every day, 24/7. I'm at home. If they have a problem, I pull up it on iPad. We can manage the water system remotely. I don't have to be in Cedar Grove, I can be otherwise. Other places, Michael Grasso has the same capability, so we have redundancy. If I'm not there, he's there. The alarm system is the same thing for the pump stations. If they're not armed by a certain time, we know. We know who goes in the pump stations, who goes out by individuals. So everything has an individual log on and get in and access. So it's a pretty good system, and we've reduced costs as far as overtime and nuisance alarms. Because during weather events and stuff like that, you do have some nuisance alarms. Right now, we don't get many nuisance alarms. We're down to the bare minimum. But we do, we still have our problems, our alarms and stuff like that, but, we respond to those. Well, the tanks in the pump station are monitored 24/7 like that. Any other questions? You like clarification? Pretty good.
Good stuff.
We're pretty happy with the system. We're going in the right direction.
That's great.
Moving right along, you'll see Consumer Confidence Report. You'll say, what is that? Well, that's that water report that's required that we put out every year to let people know what's in their drinking water. And basically, it gives you the description. Michael does a great job. You see that nice glossy brochure that comes out. And it's pretty self-explanatory to our residents. All total, this line item is going up from $22,520 to $25,270. You'll see, one of the major costs there is New Jersey One Call. And what is New Jersey One Call? Every time anybody digs into town, you call New Jersey One Call, and water, sewer, gas, everybody has to come out and mark. Well, because of all the construction going on, they've got a ton of calls and out there marking, so that's why we pay the fee to New Jersey One Call every time somebody has to go out there. So that's why you'll see the bump up in particular in that line item. When there's a lot of activity out there and there's a lot of markings, we pay.
Encourages people to call in because it doesn't cost them a dime to call in. The people that belong to the system will pay the fee. So all the work being done, all the gas utility work being done in the north or south end of town, Route 23 gas main, we really didn't incorporate that and anticipate that. But that's going to go on for the next 10 years, they say, the gas main replacements in these areas. So we're getting, instead of getting 50 calls a month, we're getting 250 calls a month. Times $1.75 every time you get charged out. We're paying.
But from a safety perspective, it's needed.
Yeah.
Because God forbid somebody digs and hits a gas main or something, then we got a catastrophe here on the hands. And again, guys do the best they could when they come out. They mark everything out, and for the most part, it's pretty accurate.
It's pretty good.
It's pretty
I
accurate.
mean, gas, electric, cable TV, telephone, transcontinental gas is part of it, TCI, Cablevision. So they're all, anything that's underground, they'll come out and mark.
And understand, if we're not explaining something good or you don't understand, please interrupt us. We'll go into more detail. We're trying to give you an overview a little bit, but sometimes we don't understand. We talk different than what you understand. So again, please feel free to interrupt us if there's a question. Next item is 310 Chemicals and Gas Rust Rover. You might ask, what's Rust Rover? Right? A lot of times you might have manganese in our water system, which is not harmful to anybody, but if you wash your clothes, it turns them a little bit brownish in color. Well, Michael, if you go down to the water department, they give you this little bottle of Rust Rover. We give it to you for free, and you mix it in with your clothes, and it takes the manganese and any of that little bit of staining out. That we've been doing
for years. It usually
years.
happens during the hydro flushing. 2 times a year that we'll do hydro flushing. Usually get some calls of, we put a load of wash in by mistake. We didn't get the notice or we forgot. And we'll hand deliver a little container in the manganese, or rewash it, take the iron out of suspension. Hopefully.
Believe me,
Good to know.
I've had some angry residents with their laundry in my office. So, it might be a small line item, but it's needed. 320 account clothing and uniforms, again, that's a contractual item. That's going to go up slightly because winter jackets is going from $2,775 to $3,175. Meal reimbursement, again, when the guys are out in midnights and they have meal breaks, we contractually have to pay for their meals. Fuels and lubricants, these are charged back to the water utility from our fuel system, $10,000. Miscellaneous supplies, pretty self-explanatory, $500. Utility truck parts, $900, any repairs to their trucks. General equipment and machinery parts, again, these are hydrant replacements, valves, fittings, cast iron pipes, curb boxes, unions, copper tubing, Just general equipment, $29,030, same appropriation as last year. Sand and stone and safety cones and signs. Again, every time they excavate, they don't put the spoils that they dig out back in. They put clean stone, comes out of this line item. Lawn supplies. Why do we need lawn supplies? Because we have a lot of pump stations throughout the town, and a lot of them are in residential neighborhoods. So we got to make sure that the lawns are cut next to residential properties. And Michael puts some plantings and makes sure they're spiffy so that they look good and they blend in with the neighborhood. We don't want to be a bad neighbor, just like we don't want anybody else being a bad neighbor. General hardware and tools, $1,850, pretty self-explanatory. $390 account, basically that's our group medical, group dental, workman's comp, and pension. You'll see that's going from $294,047 to $296,020. And all total, water is an expensive business. This budget's going from $1,671,455 to $1,710,097. I believe these were the updated sheets I gave out this evening. Let's move on to water capital. Water has their own separate capital program, as does sewer. So what's in store for this year? What's Michael planning to do this year? The HVAC unit in the lunchroom needs to be replaced. We're going to bond that at $7,500. Water main repair, we put $18,000 in the budget every year, and that's our catch-all account. In the event there's a water main break, comes out of that account. Phase 3 GIS, again, Michael, you want to elaborate on what DEP requires now as far as mapping?
DEP requires our mapping to be updated to be GPS and GIS. GIS is goes from the paper maps to the digital mapping system. So when you know there's a valve there, it's there. It's had a latitude and longitude and an elevation. The DEP's come out with 22 pages, and the EPA has come out with the same thing, and it's passed by legislative to be an asset management program. So we're kind of ahead of the curve, but we still we're 46% complete on the GIS or GPSing assets, where the hydrants are and where the valves are. We have the balance to do this year, so it has to be done by 2018. Has to have, besides the inventory of the assets, it has to come up with level of service that we will provide to the residents. Also, a capital improvement plan that has to be. You'll see that. What's in the future? What are we going to do in the future? Where is it going to be? They'll want to know about the consequence of failure and the profitability of failure, and they'll want to assess those things in a 150-year plan. And they want to see this in writing. And they want to plan by 2019. I think it's April. So it's a huge undertaking to date the water system the way it's the way the town has grown. We'll have to date the water system and evaluate and come up with consequence of failure and probability of failure and a cost associated with a replacement program and keeping up with it. Because look at what gas companies doing now. Multi-million-dollar, $1 billion of main replacement. Our water system will get to that point too.
Wow.
So
You
bridges,
come up
roads.
with that whole thing?
I'm sorry?
You come up with that whole?
Well, besides that, I bring in a consulting engineer. It's
Okay.
required by a consulting engineer. I have to provide the data, but they'll come up with the
Because
plan.
that seems like a statistical, to do probability and all that kind of stuff.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
it's a major project, just locating. Some of these valves are buried. That's why it's good to have the GPS, because a lot of time paving company will come in and they'll pave over it, and then we lose it.
You don't
have
know.
it on GPS, you can go to GPS
Yeah.
Wow.
and locate. And again, from a homeland defense standpoint, the state of New Jersey wants to know where the infrastructure is to keep it safe,
Just in case, yeah.
just in case.
And our equipment's that we've purchased in the past and we've been working with is sub-foot. So it's not like 3 meters, so your car is 10 feet away. No, we're within a foot of
Wow.
where it should be. So, I mean, our equipment's real good, and just getting out there and doing it.
But again, this is a process. We're trying to chip at this rock a little at a time.
Yeah.
Because to do this all in one fell swoop, it would be super expensive and cost prohibitive. So moving right along, next item, leak detection program. Leak detection program is probably the best $15,000 we ever spent. Years ago, our water loss was probably up in the 30% range. I think DEP requires you to be 15% or less. And we had a water main leak for many, many years on Ridge Road, right across from the reservoir that we never knew about, because the water main broke and breached the side of a bank and formed as part of a stream, and it looked just like the stream running. And then by accident, I think
Michael Grasso.
Michael found it, and that was done, but by accident, we came across it. So since then, we have a leak detection. We have a company they come in the middle of the night, they sound all the water mains, and at night, the water system should be still for the most part, and they hear where the water's running, and they find X amount of leaks
Right.
every year.
Every year.
But it keeps the water system tight. We don't have the water loss where we're paying for water and not collecting rents on it, and that's why that money is probably well spent. Water meter replacement's pretty self-explanatory, $51,000. Michael changes out X amount of water meters every year. Our water meter stock is pretty good. And you say, why do you change up the water meters? Because every so many years, they start to run a little bit slower. And when they run slower, we collect less money, and not because of inaccuracies. So we try to keep the water meter system. How
20
far
year.
along are you?
Well, it's a constant thing. Every year, we're spending the same amount or as much as we can to change out the meters. We've identified a list of meters that are in 1995, 96, 97, and we've identified those houses, and we're like, as soon as we get the meters in, we'll be notifying those residents that, hey, we're gonna change those meters out. It improves the accuracy, improves the reading system, it reduces errors, because we have automatic meter reading systems. Nobody's handwriting it in a book and hand punching it. It's all by data, and it's all electronic. The meter reports to the handheld, we download a file, and downstairs Nancy and Marie will import a file and post it to the billing system. So the less chance of errors is small. The error rate is definitely reduced. We reduce mailage, people getting cards, filling it out and mailing the card in. We're reducing postage that way. The girls used to spend 2 weeks, 10 days a month, hand entering the billing system. Now, one person does it, it takes a couple hours. So that's 10 days a month times 12 months. We reduce costs. I know Nancy split your time between the tax office and the water billing. So now you're getting, more.
All right, moving right along, we're going to buy a new trailer for our landscape equipment, because they do take care of the pump stations. Fire hydrant replacement, $24,000. That's going to be bonded. Patent Terrace pump station upgrades. This is the communication equipment there. Replace utility truck number 83. It's time for replacement there, $45,000. Water main replacement. As part of our program, Michael just talked about public service replacing their gas mains. We're starting a program, we're going to do 1 or 2 water mains per year. If you fall behind too far, then you have to do it all at one time. So we're going to start, like we're doing with the other systems, we're going to chip at the rock. Let's just start a program where we replace 1 or 2 a year and just try to stay a little bit ahead of the curve there. So all total, that's what our capital outlay program is for this year. Anybody have any questions regarding water operating or water capital? Ask Mr. Joyne. Somebody has anything? Thank you very much, Michael. Much appreciated.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, anytime you want to come down, get a tour, give me the tour. Give me the 50-cent tour. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Have a
Thank you.
good night.
And we have Michael Grasso here, who's our licensed operator for water and sewer. And we're going to start on page 108, sewer maintenance. The sewer department budgets are broken up into sewer maintenance and sewer operating. So we're going to start with the 261 account, pump station preventive maintenance, $3,000. That's going to stay the same. Sewer line TV inspections, anytime there's issues with sewer, they run a camera through and they can check the pipe from the inside. Any structural cracks, roots growing inside, so on and so forth. 299 account, grit removal from the wet wells. And at the sewer plant, that's $15,000. Chemicals and gases, $100. Clothing and uniform, again, contractual item, $1,555. Pipe repair materials, $1,300, that's going to remain the same. Building material and supplies, $1,300, that's going to stay the same. Safety equipment and gas masks, $1,100, same as last year. Janitorial and household supplies, $1,000. General hardware, cutting tools, pumps, hoses, $1,605, same as last year. All total, this budget's going from $200,912 to $206,006. Moving on to sewer operating, 23010 account, telephone administrative lines. Just like the water pump stations, the sewer lift stations communicate remotely also from those stations. And Michael has his iPad and he could pick up all that, monitoring of all that stuff there. That's $8,400. Heat, power, and light, same again. At these stations, there's electricity and heat and all that good stuff. We trimmed that a little bit from $165,200 to $163,200. Sewer and water treatment. Water, what we do is any water that's used for the departments, we charge back. The water system's a utility, so we have to account for all water that's used. So even the water we use ourselves, we bill ourselves and pay inter-account so that there's an accounting of everything that's utilized. Conference and dues, NJWEA dues, water and sewer classes, treatment plant courses, and license. Michael is the license operator, $3,800. Maintenance of vehicles, $3,000. Maintenance and other equipment, generator maintenance program, RBC maintenance program, and UV maintenance program, $27,500. UV maintenance, when the sewage comes through, part of the treatment is it goes under ultraviolet light, and there's bulbs. Those bulbs are very expensive. Every so often you have to change all the banks of lights. That's what these dollars are here. Treatment plant repairs, $1,500. That's the same. 290 account, fees for professionalized services. You'll see consulting engineer. That is our licensed operator. Michael is currently taking the classes. I think he's one grade away from, actually he runs the plant and consultant just overseas. But what will happen is eventually that will go away once he gets his next grade license, and then the plant will actually be under his operation in DEP's eyes right now. Outside lab testing, again, all the sewage goes out, gets tested to make sure that the effluent that we're putting back into the Beckman River is clean. And NJDEP permit fees, backflow preventer and license stipend. That's $156,602. It's down slightly from $158,602. This is a big item, $299.18, sludge removal. The byproduct of sewage treatment is their sludge. And what happens with that sludge, we truck it out. We send it down to Passaic Valley Sewage where they treat it. So, but to get rid of that sludge, how many truckloads do you?
Right now, it's one a day at 8,000 gallons a day.
Wow.
So we're trucking 8,000 gallons per day out of here. But what's the alternative?
It comes out, there's nowhere to go.
It has nowhere to go.
That's it.
So what happens, you have
Gotta
to
get
find
it
a
out.
facility where either you're going to dump it or someplace where it's going to treat it. And this is the method that we choose. That costs $226,500. That's up from $200,000 last year. And because of the requirements are getting more and more stringent, we're trucking out more sludge from the plant, and that's why the dollar amounts are going up. 310 chemicals and gases. Basically, this is the treating gases. You'll see that the ferric chloride GPAC is going up. Mike, you want to explain that a little bit?
A couple years ago, the DEP threw a new limit at us for phosphorus removal. So it's basically just a nutrient that's in the wastewater that you get algae growth. So this chemical reduces that, what leaves the plant. It settles it out and again goes into the sludge. And that's why we're hauling more sludge away.
320 account, clothing and uniforms. Again, that's a contractual item, $2,280. Fuels and lubricants, this is the gas that's utilized by the trucks and the oil, $7,400. Office supplies for the office, $1,800. Vehicle parts, this is vehicle repairs for any of the trucks, $1,500. Sewer operating equipment, basically these are all the repair parts, pumps, cooling parts, heating parts, quart sleeves, RBC parts, flow meter testing, $34,500. Building materials and supplies. This is the, every year, there's maintenance down there. You'll see everything gets repainted down there, all the tanks and everything. A lot of it's done in-house. Tom Struck, used to be Hal Bellino, used to help him, Eugene Calabrese. These guys are the maintenance guys down there, and they do a good job in upkeeping the plant. Miscellaneous electrical repairs, $2,800. There's a lot of electrical parts down there, and things go bad. Breakers and switches. Janitorial and household supplies, keeping the place clean, $600. General hardware and tools, $800. $390 account, again, this is the group dental, group medical, pension, workman's comp, $430,339 versus $418,107 last year. And you say, wow, we have the same amount of employees last year that we have this year, but why is it going up? Because what happens is families' classifications change. We have a single guy who gets married, now he goes from a single insurance policy to a husband and wife. Then he has a couple of kids. Now he goes from a husband and wife to a family policy. The difference between those, we go from $8,000 to $15,000 to $28,000. And that's why you see in healthcare and pension costs, those things fluctuate where there's no change in really the employee, the number of heads you have, but it's the classification of the employee. And that's why you see some of those differences. All total, this budget's going from $1,295,467 to $1,351,715. And again, like water, we have capital program, emergency repairs, which we put in here every year, $37,500, and that encompasses anything that catastrophic that happens. Sewer plant improvements, again, sewer plant is probably one of the jack-in-the-box unknown places. You never know what's gonna go wrong down there, so you need some money in utility. New utility truck with a snow plow, that's replacing one of the old ones, $45,000. Pump station improvements, $15,000. New filter study, we have a sand filter down there, and since the day we bought it, it's been hit or miss, probably there about 20, 25 years now. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to do a study on it to see what its efficiency is, see if we can't modify it to work properly. If it can't be modified, then we'll look at doing something different down the road. But we just wanted to put that money in there for a study. Security fence, you'll see along Little Falls Road, we started replacing the fence with new fence. We do have 7 neighbors on Cliffside Drive that have to look at that fence. We're trying to change the rest of it, make it a lot more aesthetically pleasing, put some slats in, just to clean it up. Again, we want to be a good neighbor, just like everybody, we want everybody else to be a good neighbor. And then RBC repairs, $20,000. So that's basically our capital improvement program. Anybody have any questions of Michael Grasso? We'd be more than happy to answer anything that you have. If not, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming.
With that, we have the municipal judge and our court administrator here, so we're going to have them come up. Judge, we're sorry we made you wait.
Sit over here.
I got 3 daughters, I'm used to waiting. Good evening.
Good evening, Judge.
Okay, we're going to go to page... Looks like page 16.
I wonder, I couldn't find it. It was all the way in the back. Under legal?
Yeah,
Yep.
15, 16.
We're going to start in the 230 account, telephone. These are the municipal lines in the court and the separate court line that they have directly into the courts, $1,325, the same as last year. Postage, $4,400. Postage is $1,325. The 240 account, printing and binding, that's their tickets, their stationery, the envelopes they use, the ATS mailers, ATS blank receipts, all those good things. $2,905, it's up slightly from $2,890. Conference and dues, Magistrate Association meetings, Essex County Municipal Court Association meetings, League Conference, Municipal Court Clerks Association seminars, $1,050. That's the same appropriation as last year. 261, maintenance and other equipment, that's the copier that's there, and the Liberty Digital Recorder, $1,475. 290 account, fees for professionalized services. You'll see, and I just have to highlight this one. Every year, we put money in there for acting judge in the event that our judge is not there. Look, our judge never misses. He's here all the time. He takes vacation down at Long Beach Island 2 or 3 weeks every year, and he has a court sessions here, and he comes all the way back. And better than that, he brings back elephant ears too when he comes back. So I just want to say thank you for that. And not only that, but he is basically the judge that the assignment judge sends to other municipalities. When there's a new judge in those communities, he sends Judge Brindisi down there to show them how it's done. And before that, he sends them here to observe how you treat the public, how they're to be treated respectfully, and how things are supposed to be done. So I think that's, a big kudos for Nick, and it's a kudos for the municipal court in Cedar Grove. It really puts a good spin on what we do here in Cedar Grove and how we treat the people, not only in our community, but all over. Now that I'm off my soapbox, we're seeing more and more need for interpreters. You'll see $950 appropriation there. Again, when we have more and more diverse people out there, he's seeing a lot more different languages coming across your court. Am I
Yeah.
correct? Or-
It's amazing. We had a court line, in order to avoid the expense of bringing an interpreter in, because usually it's a 2 to 3 hour minimum. So we have court line where we dial up and put it on a speakerphone, and we can get any kind of an interpreter we want, any language at all. We had one night where there was a woman that wanted an Arabic interpreter. To get the Arabic interpreter on the phone, and usually my first question is, introduce yourself to the interpreter, make sure each of you can understand each other, because there's dialects. So they start to speak to each other, and they realize they can't understand each other. So the woman looks at me, she says, let's try French. So she starts speaking in French to the interpreter. The interpreter speaks back in French. We handle the court session in French. Now, I was concerned because I thought we'd have to put the case off and bring in a specialized interpreter, but it didn't work out that way. So that's one of the benefits of Language Line. And we pay, Terry, how much an hour?
It's minimal. I think for like a 6-minute court set, like a 6-minute interpreting, it's like $10 or $12.
Yeah, $10 or $12, as opposed to paying $200 or $300 to have a live interpreter come in.
And that's the other thing about our court. We're always looking for economies where we could save $1 to keep the costs down. I mean, when you look at the bottom line of this budget to operate a court system, it's unbelievable. As a matter of fact, we had the people from the courts here, and they marvel at how the calendar is moved along in a timely fashion, the amount of volume here and the amount of money we bring in. So, it's all a testament to how the court is run here in Cedar Grove.
We learned from Mr. Tucci's example to do more with less.
Be cheap.
Mr. Tucci, can I ask?
Sure, go ahead.
The hearing interpreter line, we just got that.
We got that about 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
At least.
Yeah,
No,
maybe.
I think
maybe-
what Councilman Caberas is talking about is the
Oh, the assistant.
hearing assist, yeah.
Oh, the hearing assistants?
Yes.
Yeah, we just got that recently. The AOC directed us to acquire the equipment for hearing impaired. And we ended up buying it. We went to Mr. Tucci, he approved it, and it was delivered. We have it in place, and it's
Yeah,
available for
Yes.
anyone.
Councilman Caberas had brought that issue up at a council meeting about
Yeah, I
that.
was wondering if we can incorporate that into our council meetings first, if we have an individual that is hearing disabled, that we could, the earmuffs,
Yes, yeah, that's available.
Actually, it's right up on the.
I'm sure we
dais.
could. In the event that we needed to utilize it, we could.
It's stored on the dais.
Yes.
okay.
In the corner. And as far as the language line goes, we let other departments know that we have that capability, and we use the court code. That we have a special dial-up number and a court code, which we made available to them. Because in case somebody comes into the police department and they speak a language that the police department aren't familiar with, or they have no one to respond to them, at least it expedites the communication.
So you can tap it into the earmuffs to the individual so they can hear the interpreter?
Yeah, whatever is on the hearing assistance program is a little bit different, but whatever is the spoken word in the courtroom or the council chambers, that passes through the hearing assistance equipment.
Thank you.
And if necessary, you can have the court, the interpreter talker, the interpreter line connected also.
Thank you.
The other line item I want to highlight is credit card fees. You'll see it was $4,300 last year, and this year it's going to be $5,110, the appropriation. You say, wow, our credit card fees are going up. Well, you know what that means? That means we're collecting a lot more money. And now that we take credit cards, we're collecting a lot more money. A lot of times people would leave the court, and Terry, correct me if I'm wrong, we wouldn't get our money. But because we take a credit card, we're collecting our fees. So looking at increased credit card fees is not a bad thing. At least that's the way I interpret it anyway. So all total, this line item is going from $8,350 to $9,160. Books and publications, court rules, municipal court matters publications, legal diary, $633, going up from $593. You'll see the drunk driving law set went up a few dollars there. Office supplies, pretty self-explanatory, $795. $399 account, not otherwise classified, group medical, group dental, workman's comp, so on and so forth, $58,868, up from $55,100. The Sony CDRs, $115. All total, this budget went up very slightly from $245,303 to $249,963. Judge, would you like to add anything? Anything you want to say?
Sure.
Or Terry?
I'll give you some statistics. This is a printout of the way the court, the volume of the court and the revenues take place over the last 8 years. And you can see that it's fluctuated, it's increased steadily since 2010, and I can't say enough good things about our staff. I mean, the staff goes well beyond what's expected of them. When someone gives them a hard time at the window, they're nice. When someone tries to be a little unreasonable, they're nice. When someone asks for something that they're not entitled to, they're nice, and they explain to them why they can't get it. I'm the president of the Essex County Municipal Judges Association, and I'm called upon to lecture at the statewide judicial conference every year, which is all 500 and something municipal judges have to attend to be educated. And I'm usually called in to assist in other troubled courts when the need comes up. And other judges that are appointed newly are assigned to come to Cedar Grove to watch our operation. So I know what happens in other courts. I know where the issues are. I know where the dangers are, and we stay ahead of the curve. We try to keep ourselves well above the customer service is number one. Someone comes into the courtroom, they're treated with dignity, respect, they're given a fair opportunity to be heard. They leave the courtroom with a smile. It's like my private motto is pay with a smile.
Any questions, Judge Brindisi or Terry? Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank you.
for,
We appreciate it.
great job, thank
We're
you.
very lucky.
Thank you. Well, good night.
Have a good
Good
night.
night.
All right, next we're going to go to the recreation and celebration of public events. We are going to page 53. Marisa Landolfi is here with us this evening. And we're going to start with the 290 account, not otherwise classified, which is basically our fireworks and the state permit for the fireworks. Let's talk a little bit about fireworks. Last year, we had a little bit of a mishap, even though they were good. We had a little bit of a mishap from the company, and we let them know about it at the end of the year. And I think we're going to get some restitution this year from them. In the, I think in the form of maybe a better fireworks display.
Better fireworks, finale. They're giving us pretty much a better show to fit within our budget because of the mistakes that happened last year.
And again, most of the mistakes that they made were the sequencing. They didn't sequence the fireworks the way they were supposed to. They probably shot off ones that were supposed to go off later in the show, earlier in the show, and at the end, the finale was something less than what we expected. I mean, we have a pretty good standard. The year before, we thought was phenomenal. And last year, I can't say it was bad, but it was not up to the standard that we expected. We expected something above and beyond. We've voiced our displeasure, and hopefully, we're gonna see the restitution made this year.
Especially since we put more money in last year to go towards them because this company's been so good. They really worked with us on that and they were very apologetic, everything, so this year should be good.
All right, 380 account, Christmas tree lighting, that's for the supplies for the Christmas tree lighting. Not otherwise classified, Memorial Day Parade, that's gonna bump up slightly, a few $100s more from $2,500 to $2,900. Breast Cancer Awareness Program, which seems to be growing every year, $3,000. Again, it's another good program, a public awareness program that I think the public is responding to. So this budget's going from $16,831 to $17,231. Anybody have any questions regarding celebration of public events?
So when, like, the Memorial Day parade is canceled, like, it's been for like the past 2 years, right? Because of rain, what happens to that? Does
Well,
it just,
Normally, the money either lapses, or what we'll do is we'll reappropriate it. We'll do it, either the Christmas tree lighting, we'll use some of that money there.
Okay.
We'll use it for another event. That's why you'll see $2,200 there. And speaking about the Memorial Day Parade, in discussions with Chief Sarasa, who just happened to spur my train of thought, we are changing the route on the Memorial Day Parade. And you ask, why would you do that? Because of the climate out there and keeping people safe. You saw at our Christmas tree lighting, we had the driveways blocked off with the fire trucks. We had trucks this way. Whether it's on purpose or sometimes by accident, we're seeing more and more errant vehicles run into crowds. And we want to make sure that we're able to solidify and make sure that anybody that's participating in the parade is safe. So there's going to be some rerouting. We're going to be presenting the routes to the governing body for your authorization, obviously. But again, we can't do business the way we've done it in the past because the world is a changed place. Look at the bike paths in New York City. Pedestrians on a bike path riding, and somebody went off the road and killed a number of people. So we're looking at things through a different prism right now, and unfortunately, they're not good or bad, they're just going to be different at this point. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Moving right along, we're going to go to page 54, Recreation Department budget. You want to do some talking? I've been talking an awful lot here. So you can start with start with the 220 account to travel. There's $100 appropriation there, the same as last year.
Page are you on?
We're on page 55.
Oh.
55 going into 56.
I think my
250
pages are
account,
different.
I'll take it.
Sorry.
250 account conference and dues, that's the NJRAP conference, $375. That's a new item. Atlantic City Convention, that's the registration fee. And professional registration and dues, $625. That's up from $400 last year. Maintenance and other equipment. It's the electrical equipment, copy machine down in Recreation, porta-johns that we supply throughout the town. Even though we have restrooms down at Panther Park, sometimes people complain that it's a far walk from the far end all the way up to the restrooms, so we put a couple of porta-johns down on the back end to make things more
We
convenient.
actually get complaints that people are just going in the woods because they don't want to walk all the way up to the bathroom. So instead of getting calls complaining that there's children going to the bathroom up against their fence, we've put the porta
We put the
johns there.
porta-johns, even though we have state-of-the-art, beautiful restrooms there, they are really nice, but we'll do whatever we have to do to make it right. Maintenance and other equipment, $6,000. This is the Lion's Den and Morgan's Farm repairs, fountain repairs, electrical repairs, bocce court maintenance, community park ball field, and Panther Park maintenance. Speaking about the bocce courts, we are also looking at potentially expanding the bocce courts down at Community Park. We currently, I believe we have about 22 teams.
24.
I know there's-
24, and
can't get on
the
those
problem
courts.
is they cannot play on a consistent basis every week. I think they play every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we're gonna look to try to do something to get another court or two down there so that they can at least play a little bit more consistent. Seems to be one of the very popular sports, and I shouldn't say for the older crowd, because a lot of young people involved in it, but it's a good community sport. It seems like a lot of people are interested in,
We've had to turn people away, actually, turn teams away the past couple of years, so
Yeah.
this would really help in just getting more
Wow.
Yeah, that's
people
good.
involved.
we're going to be the bocce capital of New Jersey pretty soon.
Can I, ask a question? How's the turf holding up at Panther Park? I see that you requested 8,500 for maintenance at Panther Park. Has everything to do with the turf, even though you're only getting 6?
Yes,
Is there-
as a matter of fact, we are part of a class action lawsuit against the turf company right now. What we did a couple of years back, we cut out the areas around home plate because they seem to get the most where the pitcher's mound there, because when the batter gets up, it's just a habit, even though you're on turf. And what we'll do is with this, we'll patch. But we're also we were looking at changing the whole infield because it's starting to wear a little bit on the girls' softball field. The Panther Park multipurpose field seems to be holding up just fine at this point, but the girls' softball field does need a little bit of maintenance, and that's the reason why. But again, that's probably one of the most used girls' softball field in the county of Essex. One year, every game in the Essex County tournament was played on our field because we can withstand 15 minutes after a rainstorm, you can play on it, where other fields are washed out. But again, we invest the money in the maintenance, but I think it's money well spent because the people in our community, especially the young ladies, they really have a pristine, state-of-the-art field to play on.
So is the department asked for 8,500 for the maintenance?
Right.
6,000 is going to be sufficient to handle that?
Well, that's going to be sufficient to do minor repairs. What we do is, Marisa has the company come in and they groom the field. They infill with the rubber crumb. But what happens is we have certain sections taken out. I believe she got a price to do all the tan portion of the infield. I think that was like $60,000. The only thing is, we have that in abeyance only because of the class action lawsuit. Our attorneys are telling us, try not to do too much to change what's happening there right now. Because otherwise, we would probably go in and ask to have the whole infield changed at this point. But that's why this is more of a stopgap, just to do repairs on the worst sections.
Thank you.
299 account, not otherwise classified. These are the Halloween party. You'll see the Senior Citizen Club money, because it was dissolved, we took that money away. Suburban girls basketball, boys basketball, track and field, miscellaneous tournaments that these groups participate in, the West Essex Soccer League, girls suburban softball, youth tennis, Rutgers certification program. Might ask, what's the Rutgers certification program? All our coaches, from a liability standpoint, we require them to have the Rutgers training, because what that does is it protects them liability-wise so that they don't get sued personally. When you have the proper training, based on the law, you have some protection. When you don't have that training and you're coaching, liability could fall on you personally. So we make sure that all our coaches have the Rutgers certification program. And do we hold it here, or?
We have held it here. We've held it and combined with Verona. We've held it and combined with North Caldwell as well. Since I am, you have to be certified to give the course, and I am certified to give the course, so we've combined with other towns to try to help them out. It's volunteer work. I don't get paid to go out and do the trainings, even if it's in another town. You have to do it. You have to do a 3-hour training. It has to be the full 3 hours, or else you don't fall under the guidelines for Rutgers to come out. Because if there was a legal battle or anything like that, the Rutgers Youth Council would actually send their lawyers out to protect the youth volunteer coaches. And if they didn't sit through the whole 3-hour training, then the Youth Council won't be there in support of them.
But again, it's a way of protecting our coaches liability-wise.
Yep.
It's smart, and you can never go wrong with safety training. Again, this line item's going down from $42,692 to $37,875. Clothing and uniforms, it's pretty self-explanatory. John Fabrazzo, who's the maintenance guy in recreation, that's for his uniforms and boots and gloves. Office paper and computer supplies, $1,000. Recreation materials, basically wrestling warm-ups, softballs, paint, chalk, first aid supplies, tennis balls, Halloween candy for a Halloween party, $26,425. Garden and park supplies, community park turf maintenance, and firewood. When we do have skating and it's frozen, we buy some firewood there. We've reduced that from $2,800 to $2,500. Miscellaneous hardware, $200. Parks and recreation equipment and improvements. Playground games in the summertime. We normally replace X amount of tennis nets each year. We rotate it out, so we don't have to replace them all in 1 year. Community One Pass online registration. Panther Park maintenance contract, and windscreens, $11,500. So all total, the recreation budget, we tried to trim it a little bit. It's gone from $238,118 to $229,445. Anybody have any comments or questions regarding that?
Silly question, really just curious. What, in the recreation materials, why is softball separate, but I'm assuming basketballs, baseballs, are probably like lumped under sporting goods?
There's another line for just basketball also and rec equipment.
Okay, I'm just
Right,
curious.
yeah.
I'm just like, why are softballs sticking out?
And we use the softballs here for men's softball as opposed to just the youth softball as well, so.
Oh, okay, so that's why, okay, I was just curious, thank you.
Now we're going to move on to swimming pool utility. It's going to be down in the back.
What page is that?
That's on page 123. And as you're all aware, swimming pool utility has been operating in a deficit position over the last few years. So in order to try to correct that, I took a scalpel to this budget for this year. And I'm going to explain to you what actions I took that we are in a break-even mode here. That, along with some recommendations from the Rec Advisory Board and the Recreation Director, I think we're going to be okay for this coming year. So let me explain where we are. As far as costs, what I did was, there was always a chargeback from Town Hall for payroll preparation down for the pool during the summer months. That was $8,126. I took that out, and the town will assume the cost of that. Normally, there was a $1,000 chargeback for our DPW guys to go down and assist the pool with the startup and close up every year with a $1,000 charge. I took that out. I cut back on the allocation for lifeguards from $80,000 to $75,000, all right? Then also, what I did was I went over to where we have the charges for our employees for group medical and pension. And I took out the group medical cost and assumed it back into the general account for the township, and that basically saved $51,000 there. I took out the pension cost, which the town will be assuming now. It's another $15,000. So what you see here is approximately a little between $90,000 and $95,000 reduction in the swimming pool budget. So that's going to go from $323,492 to $230,533. So with those reductions, that should close the gap. And I think we were like $120,000, $125,000 projected shortage, plus with the recommendations and implementation of what the Recreation Board and the Recreation Director are proposing, we expect that we're going to close that a little additional gap of $25,000 by making it up in additional revenue and we should have a break-even point here. Anybody have any questions about?
Just about the lifeguards,
Yes.
there's $5,000 less, and that means we're gonna have less lifeguard?
No, we're not
protection?
gonna have less lifeguards. We're gonna have strategic location a little bit different. Where maybe we had an extra one on duty, maybe we won't have the extra person. Wherever we can cut the excess without cutting the safety aspect of it, we're gonna have a lifeguard in every stand, like we do every year. There's gonna be no shortage from a safety standpoint, whatever the requirements are to have, as far as lifeguards, we're gonna have them there. But wherever we have any little excess, we're gonna cut it, because the pool utility needs to be self-sustaining, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make it there.
And we did kind of a run through in August this past year and the end of July, where we, would normally have a certain amount of guards on stand, and we would cut it down 1 or 2 guards and go through a full operational day with all the stands filled, with all the, we have people walking around doing the hill, we have someone on first aid in case of emergency, and we're able to safely operate with the even taking off the couple of staff members that are there, because that's really just the main concern.
And again, $5,000 operationally is really not a whole lot in the grand scheme of things. And in the event, fallback position, I do have some money in overtime that I will transfer over in the event that it's needed to fill that gap if necessary. But again, I thought that at this point in our budgeting process, this needed to be done. We just can't continue to operate with that large of a deficit. It's not good for the town, it's not good for our ratepayers who support this utility. So, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Are you planning on doing anything pertaining to membership differently this time around?
Well, that's what's gonna come out of the Recreation Director and the Rec Advisory Board. They're gonna be looking at all the charges again for in-family, out-of-family, guests, because we got a lot of negative feedback on our costs for guest passes, on how much it costs if somebody wanted to bring 2 or 3 friends of their children. I mean, what were we charging, like
$20.
$20 per head? So if you bring your child and 3 friends, you're talking another $60 per day. If they're here for the weekend, I mean, you could be talking $120 to $180 a difference if it's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which is, for a family, it's a lot of money out of pocket. So we're going to look at those things. We're going to look at some innovative ways to get more membership, maybe give a couple more guest passes with the original membership to try to entice people. Again,
Yeah.
I don't want to go into all the detail right here, but Marisa had, and we have discussed some little innovative ways where we're going to try to spur the membership and get some new families in here. Again, our biggest drawback last year when we analyzed it was we had a big drop in outside families. And last year, in analyzing it, our biggest increase was to the cost to the outside families. So we think there's a direct correlation between our increase in price, which went up pretty steeply, to not reaping those additional families. So maybe we need to look at maybe a bigger volume versus a higher cost. So again, there'll be recommendations from the Rec Advisory Board and the Recreation Director to the governing body, because you approve the fees every year before they go out anyway, so.
And you'll have it soon, because Bill, the CFO, gave me his recommendations for the fees. We have our rec board meeting tomorrow, which is our biggest meeting of the year. We chop it down, go through everything, and then the governing body will get their
But again,
recommendations from the rec board.
as a group effort between cutting the budget, these new recommendations, we're gonna get there. We're gonna get to where we need to be, so that everything is self-sustaining here. Anybody have any questions of Marisa at that point?
It's not an easy task. Thank
you
you
very
so much.
Thank you very much.
All right, now we're gonna come to the police department. Now, this is the area where you cut the most. Put that Chief Sarasas here with us. I'm only kidding, Chief. I'm only kidding.
Hi everyone, how you guys doing?
Chief Charles told me to say that.
It's the fireman, you know.
Okay, we're gonna go to page We'll start on page 38. In the 101 account, police matron. The appropriation is $2,500, the same as last year. You'll see we had a lot of activity. We spent $3,850 last year on police matron. So hopefully that number will be a little bit smaller this coming year. School crossing guards, that's going to go up slightly from $128,917 to $130,193. We had some adjustment in the hours of the school crossing guards, only because we had to adjust to what the changing times that are in school with the extended day program. We eliminated the midday crossings because we don't let our kids out for lunch anymore. So we rearranged it, and so that's why you'll see a little bit of adjustment in the number, but it's only gone up slightly. Overtime costs for the police department, it's going from $110,458 to $112,667. Again, I can't commend the police department and the chief for keeping this number in line. If you look at what the overtime costs in other communities, I know our neighboring community is over $240,000 in police overtime. So again, between the cooperation of the men and women in the department and the supervision of the chief and his staff, that's why this number is what it is. And believe me, this is a glowing number. Holiday pay, it's a contractual item, $151,233, up slightly from $148,268. Mileage, 57 cents a mile, $100 is appropriated here. It's the same as last year. Printing and binding, $1,000. That's for the stationery and the report forms in the police department. Conference and dues, what do we talk about when we talk about a police department? The main thing is training. With the mandates that are coming out, and Councilwoman Peterson, I don't have to explain to you because you live with it every day.
Yes, I do.
But police training, and with all the new mandates coming out, the police are trained in so many different areas today, whether it be diversity or, how to deal with children with autism and how to recognize certain things. I mean, police officers are doing so much more than police work today. But let's face it, they're really social activists out there more than police officers. But again, you'll see that training budget went up from $5,000 to $7,000 there. All total, that conference and due line item is going from $6,400 to $9,400. Maintenance and other equipment, again, this is very important. The technology in the police department is second to none, whether it be radio service, copier maintenance, IT support on their computer hardware, MDT software, MPC airtime, voice recording, InfoCop e-system, live scan maintenance, L3 mobile system, visual statement software, civil solutions mapping. I mean, you name it, it's here. But again, we were able to trim it a little bit on all these items. The $75,066 was last year's appropriation. We were able to get it down to $74,400. Professionalized specialized services, new officer physicals, $3,000. Annual physicals. Every year, we're required to appropriate, based on the police contract, money for police officers to get a physical if they choose. So we have to appropriate for all 31 men and women, and if they utilize it, fine. If not, money just stays there in the account. National Night Out, again, that was resurrected. It's one of the best events that we hold in town. It's the day when the police get to extend a hand to the community and basically serve them and show them that they're regular people just like them. Sometimes people get nervous when they see a police officer. Police don't want you to do that. They want you to understand they're people. They just have a job to do like everyone else. And this is part of the reason why we have National Night Out. They extend the hand to the public and show the public, and especially our young people, that police officers are just like you. They have families, they have feelings, and we're people. But again, they do a great job, and that's why we get the outpouring that we get at National Night Out. You'll see we cut promotional exams. we're at full staff, so we were able to cut $10,800 out of that budget. So that budget went from $23,050 to $15,750. Clothing and uniform, pretty self-explanatory. That's going from $30,950 to $33,550. Prisoner food, anytime we have people in the cell, we're responsible to feed them in the event that they're here for any period of time, $300, the same as last year. Books and publications, $1,500, that's going to stay the same. Office supplies, $1,500, same as last year. Tire replacement, $5,500. Police officers are on the road all the time. Normally, we keep a police car probably for a 2-year period and rotate it out, just to make sure that our men have the best equipment and they're safe. Batteries for the flashlights, $300. Fire and other safety equipment, ammunition, fuses, oxygen tanks, EMT first aid supplies, $12,800, up $500. You'll see pepper spray is a new item. We added $500 for that. Photo and fingerprint supplies, $1,000, same appropriation as last year. Miscellaneous, $500. The 410 account, police vehicles, $82,500, down a little bit from $94,000 last year. Like I said, we rotate our cars out every 2 years. And you might say, why do we bond everybody else's vehicles and not police vehicles? Because in order to bond something, you need a life expectancy of 5 years. And with other departments, there is a life expectancy on that vehicle, not in the police department. The police department life expectancy, based on our orders, is 2 years. That's why you have to appropriate it out of the operating budget, just so you know, differentiate why it's there. Electrical and communication equipment, replacement strobes. Every time we change over vehicles, we got to change over the strobes and move everything over. That's the cost to do that business. So this budget's going from $4,307,264 to $4,407,003, which is pretty modest because most of that is contractual with the police salaries. With that, I want Chief Sarasa to explain to you, we're going to have to have a big expenditure in town for our police communications. Right now, we have a radio system in town, and it's adequate, but we have certain dead spots, meaning when a police officer goes with his radio into certain locations in town, into a basement, their communication is cut off. And we can't have that, because that puts the officer in jeopardy. So what we're doing is we're looking at a new system. And right now, we are on our own system, but we're looking to go on to the state police system. The state police have the state-of-the-art system. They are maintaining and operating it. We already had a demo. They lent us some of their equipment. We went to these remote locations to see if it would work. It does work. I think the tower is in Montclair State, correct me if I'm wrong?
Yep.
And we are able to get on the system. The problem with the system is we have to buy all new radios in order for us to be compatible with that system. We're talking at a number of approximately $1.2 to $1.4 million all total. But again, we're trying to stage this with some of the new Albanian dollars that are come in. If we're going to have that new revenue coming in, we're hoping that that's going to offset the cost of this. We have a few big ticket items coming up, whether it be police and fire, and we want to utilize, we're going to have this money coming in. I think we should try to do that. So Chief, why don't you explain a little bit, if I didn't explain it well enough.
No,
you know?
you did a great job.
Mhm.
You know, our existing system operates on, we have like 10 different sites, and they're all interconnected with copper phone lines. And as you know, no one's using copper phone lines anymore, and Verizon's not maintaining or replacing them. So as the infrastructure starts to get older, our equipment itself is 19 years old. You know, 19 years old for transmitters and antennas that are in the sun is a very long time.
And electronics is very aged.
Very long. So the phone lines are not reliable any longer. When they get wet, the resistance builds up, so they set the system up, and then the resistance increases, and now, it's like the manager said, the system doesn't work properly, it gets out of balance, and there's dead spots, so we've been, in 16, we went down for nearly 2 weeks completely when they severed a trunk cable in Montclair. So, this new system is a state system. There's no infrastructure. It's a subscriber-based, so it's per radio. You get onto it. It's called the Public P6. It's the P25 project. P6 Public Safety Interoperable Communication. Statewide system. Ever since 9/11, the state's been moving towards this, and it's very. The big advantage to it is interoperability. All the towns around us have gone to it. Little Falls, Montclair, North Caldwell, Essex Fells, they're all on it. So basically, we are incapable of communicating with any of them. So we would be joining them on this system, and this was the number is high because it's an entire town. It's not just the police department going, it's police, fire, Board of Ed, DPW, and EMS. So we'll all be on the same radio frequency, we'll all be able to communicate. So in storms,
And we're to be supplying the equipment for everybody, correct?
that's correct.
This is a global purchase for everybody.
So it's really in the public safety, it's like a dream come true, right? You'd be able to talk to anyone. So a good example is like yesterday morning when we had a young man fall on the steps, and it was all a sheet of ice, and we needed Public Works. So we had to call the desk had to call them by phone. We would just get onto the radio, you can call Public Works, hey, send a salt truck, salt it, just speeds everything up. Ambulance, we can speak to them. So not only in large incidents, we have a school incident, school shooting, active shooter, something like that, the Board of Ed can get onto the frequency. There's channels we would share, there's channels we wouldn't share. Our incoming jurisdictions, like North Call, these people rely on, they would all come. So it's a robust system. We do have to maintain a portion of the old system for fire dispatching because this new system currently does not allow dispatching over. So, Ms. Peterson, you'd be familiar with the pagers.
Yep.
Right? You can't put that frequency over for the pagers on this new system. And that's about it.
And basically, I just wanted to give you an overview. We're going to talk about this a little more and see what the timing is, and I'll be bringing it back to the governing body at some point. But I just wanted to make you aware of, what our capability is now and where we're going to need to be somewhere a little bit down the road.
Is the cost for the cost of the equipment, or is it the license to use the equipment, or both?
It's more in the equipment, where the majority of the cost. There is some associated with licensing and operation, but most of it is because of the new equipment.
And do we know, and I'm sure we can talk about this later on down the road, but do we know how the life expectancy of those radios? Is it something that's going to need to be replaced every 5 years, or are we going to get 20 years out of it?
Like the radios we have now are probably like 8 or 9 years old, the portables. Some of the mobiles may be older. The infrastructure stuff, the large transmitters and receivers, they're 19 years old. So these, I don't think there's a shelf life really on them. They last a long time. But it's just the initial outlay of the new equipment. And then once because we're paying nearly $50,000 for the phone lines now a year. So the annual fees of ballparking maybe, $10,000 or $12,000 a year once we're up and running and we purchase the initial equipment.
See, and traditionally, a project of this nature, we would phase it in police and then fire. But with emergency services, we can't have police not being able to communicate with fire, not being able to contact EMS, and even as far as Public Works and the Board of Education. There needs to be that open communication. In today's world, everything is instantaneous. So that's why, unfortunately, it's going to have to be done all at one time, rather than on a piecemeal basis.
Mr.
Councilman?
Tucci, was there a problem communicating with other townships with the old radios since they have the new radios? Is there any problem doing that?
Well, it's more difficult, let's put it that way.
Yeah, we can't directly communicate mobile to mobile, portable to portable.
You have to call their
With
office.
the new radios, you would be able to do that
Right, it
then.
would be-
So if you're in a joint
Right.
operation with other towns, you can communicate on the same
Right, they
line.
could switch to our channel, we could switch to theirs, or we could both go to an interoperable channel. We could decide that, whatever protocols we decide.
We're not saying that we can't communicate with them now, it's just that it's a lot more difficult. It's cumbersome for an officer at an emergent situation to have to figure out, all right, how am I gonna be able to contact North Caldwell or West Caldwell? Because you have to think about it, how it's gonna happen. Whereas you should be able to just pick up that radio and bang.
And this is likewise with the fire department and, you know,
But my biggest concern as the manager is having the dead spot. You can't have a police officer go into a building and not be able to communicate. Can't have a fireman go into a fire and there be a dead spot and him not be able to transmit what the hazards are in there or that he's in some kind of danger. Because I take that personal. That's a reflection on me at that point. Because my job is to make sure that he gets home to his family, he gets home to his family, you get home to your family. That's my responsibility. And that's where it becomes problematic for me.
I mean, we're at a point now, 19 years, either we replace what we have or we go to this new system. So either way, the cost is very similar, but if we replace what we have, we still won't have that interoperability. And that frequency, the FCC is, they're trying to move everybody off the band that we're in now. The FCC is really trying to move everyone off of that and into the 700s.
And the other thing, I have to compliment the state police. They've been tremendous with us, cooperating with us, trying to help us with, borrow their equipment so that we can understand what our issues are and if we could solve it through their system, which fortunately, it seems like this is gonna work.
Yeah, we went to extensive testing. We got radios from the state. We went to every commercial building, basement, garages. People let me into their homes. I went to the basement of their houses. So we really did test them in the field quite extensively, so,
How long would this take to, get into effect?
to implement.
Do you think it would be this year?
Well, we have tentative approval to go on to the band from the state, and just a matter of purchasing the equipment program, probably,
I would
6
say,
months.
I would say at least 6 months. This is gonna take by the time we purchase it and get it implemented and then get all the bugs out. And then what happens is it's gonna be a transfer over from the old system to the new
Right.
system. But it's gonna take some time. It's not something that's gonna be done in a month or so. But I just wanted to bring that to your attention. I wanted the chief to explain it to you, and so you know where we are.
Can I ask a budget question?
Absolutely.
New for this year, firearms, patrol, rifle qualification? Is that something new?
Well, we've had the rifles for some time. Now we're currently up to 6 rifles, patrol rifles. Just like the manager had said before, things are different now. In the days when I first started, you had a shotgun. But now with these shooting situations, rifle is the preferred weapon, a patrol rifle. So
AR-15 or M16?
that's correct. And to qualify with that, you can't qualify with that on the same course. So it's very tough to find a place to shoot that. You have to qualify twice a year. And we try not to bring guys in on overtime. We try to do it when they're working. We were using Livingston's range, but everybody's kind of, people don't want that in their backyard, so they're facing difficulties. So this particular range close to us, they can provide the range to us at any hour, so it's great. So the guys on nights can go in and shoot at night, and the guys on days don't have to bring guys in overtime. So
Is it an indoor range?
it is an indoor range, yeah.
50 yard?
100, I think you have to have or with a reduced target.
Right.
I don't shoot that, so I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
over here, it's only 25,
Right, so I think maybe 50 with a
Yes.
reduced target, or 100.
100, larger size.
You're right, Mr. Cabarrus.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just one. Chief, I'm just wondering how it's going across the street with the new configuration of that school. Since September, have we seen a lot more police activity over there, or?
No, I think it's been we've had a few incidents, but it's been consistent, nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay, good.
Some of the things we expected had occurred, that we anticipated, and, but we're managing.
Thank
Anything
you.
else?
No, that's it.
Thank you. Yep.
Mr. Ducci, one of the things with the radios, Public Works, we don't have any type of communication but our cell phones. I mean, this is gonna be huge for us. I mean, to do anything, we have to physically yell outside the truck, hey, go get this, back up. So, I mean, this is,
So cell phone is your method
That's it.
right now?
And you use your personal cell phone?
No, we have.
You give them cell
we have
phones,
cell
okay.
phones.
right, but.
Still,
it's,
yeah.
You know, I think it's kind of try to answer a phone and try backing up when we're loading trucks. So
Yeah,
gonna be
no,
a very
it's-
big thing for us.
It's critical.
For sure, yeah.
Mr. Tucci, on the old radios, would you be able to sell them or do something with them?
We would look to see, but we would have to get a sign off.
You know, no, everyone's moving off those channels.
I was gonna say,
First of all,
maybe
the
to a
federal
museum.
government's pushing us off.
Yeah,
And-
can you use them for something?
But normally with police surplus, we'd have to contact the Attorney General's office to make sure that it's okay to sell this stuff and make sure there's nothing,
19 years old, I don't think anybody, you know, look at the stuff in your house, who's got a 19-year-old computer.
thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you,
Chief.
sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're gonna move on to
Night.
the Fire Department, page 31. We have Chief Shawless here and
Save the best for
Captain
last.
Grasso. One thing about our people in our town, they wear multiple hats. So Michael went from water and sewer operator to fireman.
Put on a different jacket.
Chief
came
Saras
back.
is a fireman. Before we start, just Chief Shawless, what a dedicated guy this guy is. It's unbelievable. Every year, the Shred It program brings in money and provides a service for the community. And just can't say enough about everything that you
During
do.
Fire Prevention Week.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yep. It's
Very
good.
important fundraiser for the fire department. And congratulations on your promotion to
Thank you.
chief.
Chief Zacharias got a ball game he had to attend for his daughter in Bloomfield, so that's why he's not here tonight.
We're going to start on page 31. We'll start with the 220 account. Travel, $2,500. 240 account, printing and binding. This is fire department prevention program, fire department stickers that they hand out, $1,600. 250 account, conference and dues. This is for the 4 inspectors, $800, actually, no, that's a multiple account, let's see. And then, yeah, that's $800, no. It's conference and dues, Wildwood Convention, Essex County Chiefs Association dues, West Essex Fire Association dues, thermal imaging camera training, firefighter 1 classes, firefighter 2, miscellaneous drill and standby, fire academy live burn, FDIC training, and technical rescue. All those programs, $21,000, the same appropriation as last year. 261 account, maintenance and other equipment. This is basically the computer maintenance for the fire department, the radio maintenance, the CAD software maintenance, CAD mapping system, and the computer upgrade and support, $16,600. Repairs for 14 Cedar Street, $3,000, same as last year. Truck house rental. We all know that the North and South End fire companies are owned by the companies, not by the township. So we pay them a rental fee to keep the engines in there. That's what the truck house rental fee is. That's $4,326 for each firehouse annually. Fees for professionalized services. These are basically the stipends that are given out to the fire department. Again, we pay all our firemen $93,000 in a stipend. If you had a paid fire department, you couldn't afford one fireman for that amount of money, not alone a whole department. So again, best bargain in town. This is why the tax rate is what it is in Cedar Grove. No paid fire department. 299 account, recruitment program, and the Fireman's Memorial here, the maintenance on that, $1,850. Chemicals and gases, the Cascade refills, foam chemicals for training, smoke machine chemicals, $3,000, same as last year. Clothing and uniforms, pretty well self-explanatory, bunker pants, gloves, patches, clothing and uniforms, $27,950. Books and publications, $500, same as last year. Miscellaneous supplies, $500, same as last year. Vehicle parts, basically batteries and tires for the apparatus, $1,400. Electrical supplies, $900. Fire and other safety equipment, Scott air tank refills, air mask, flow masks, SCBA fit tests, SCBA repairs, $10,000, same as last year. Digital camera supplies, $300, same as last year. Miscellaneous tools, $400. And then our supplemental fire program, small engine repair, ladder testing, hose testing, pump testing, hose replacement and nozzle replacement, talking $13,700. All total, the fire department has held the line on the budget, same as last year, $207,045. Anybody have any questions of Chief Chalice at this point?
Just one. Membership, are you at 100%, 80%?
Well, when Mr. Tucci first started, I think we were at 42,
42.
and now we're up to 86.
86, because we increased by 10 either last year or the year before. We were at 76, but, the fire department had a lot of young people that were interested, so what we did was we allowed them to expand another 10, and they're at full membership right now. But again, fire department's very vibrant. You see, you come here on the weekends. Fire department it's a social program in Cedar Grove. People just love to do it. They come here and they put their heart and soul in it, and you could tell. There's no fire going on, but you come here on the weekends. This guy's out in the front, just commiserating with each other, shooting the breeze or whatever. And it's not just men; it's men and women. It's just a community event. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
But that's what small town America is supposed to be.
That's right.
That's who we are. That's our makeup, and I wouldn't want it to change for anything. You guys have anything you want to add?
Anything for Chief Grasso?
No, just thank you for all your hard work. Thank you for holding the line on the budget. You guys do a great job, and we're all appreciative of the hard work that you guys do.
Well, you back us up, whatever we need, you get us.
Of course.
So we have the best of everything. We really do.
That's
So,
great.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you, guys. Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Good night now.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to go to capital improvement items on page 86. We're just going to run through these rather quickly, just to give you an overview of what we have in store as far as capital purchases for this year. Here? You good? Are you good?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. We're going to start with, the first item is the police bathroom reconstruction downstairs. We have a bathroom down there that's in really in poor condition, so we're going to look to rehab that at $10,000. Police body worn cameras. We're going to have body cameras on all the officers. That's going to be probably about a $47,000 expenditure. You're saying, wow, you only got $6,000 in here. That's because we got a $20,000 grant from Investors Bank. Councilman, I believe you were aware of that. We got a $15,000 grant from the Department of Criminal Justice. And I expect that our joint insurance fund, because we're being proactive, is going to give us another $10,000. So this is just a catch-all, $6,000. If we don't have enough with all those grants, we may utilize the $6,000. It may come where we end up eliminating this. So really, the body-worn cameras are probably going to be self-funded through grants through the whole
great.
thing, which is a great thing. SCBA face masks, we replace X amount each year in the fire department. That's $8,000. You'll see that every year. You'll see 8,000, 8,000, 8,000, only because we're not going to buy them all at one time. We take out probably the worst 6 or 8 every year and replace them. Computer hardware and software, that's just a catch-all account. Any computers that crash in town hall need to be replaced, printers, toners, anything like that. Curb and sidewalk replacement. Every year, we have X amount of town trees that lift sidewalks. We have a contractor go in, our engineering department locates where the sidewalks are out of misalignment, and we go in and we repair them throughout the town. Fire department pagers, same thing. We replace the worst pagers every year, X amount, 10,000. That's an item that you'll see in there every year. Asphalt hot box, $28,000. What this is it's a reclaim machine. A lot of times you'll see a pothole with some asphalt on the side of the road. This hot box allows you to take the old pieces of asphalt, you throw them in the hot box, it reheats them up, and basically you're recycling that asphalt and putting it back down. The other thing it allows you to do, see in this cold weather, asphalt plants are closed, but you can bring out the hot box and heat it up, and you'll have a hot mix to do a permanent repair, rather than that temporary patch that you see in there one day, and as soon as it rains, it's all over the place in a mess. So we're looking to do that. We need to replace one of our dump trucks, 10 cubic yard dump trucks. They're very expensive, $185,000. Roadway overlay program. Deputy Mayor, you'll note this, last year we did the whole Oak Drive area. I think we spent in the area of $600,000. We're toning it back a little bit this year, but we're gonna allocate $225,000 for roadway overlay. But again, you have to stay after that program, because if you fall behind, then you're spending huge amounts of money all at one time. And that's what we try not to do. We try to do it incrementally throughout. Safety equipment, safe access. What we do is, this is the money we spend around the schools. Every year, we make sure the areas around the schools, the walkways, the police department goes out and analyzes the walking routes that children take, and they look at sidewalks and trees, and we use that money to make sure that those areas are safe for the kids to go back and forth. Tree planting program, when we talked about the shade tree budget, I told you that we allocate $40,000. That's for tree removal and tree planting throughout the town. Fire department safety equipment, this is for additional equipment, whether it be turnout pants, so on and so forth. Any overage comes out of this account. Turf management equipment, this is for, we talked about the all-natural pesticides in the treating of Community Park. That's where the money comes from. We paint Lincoln Landscaping. Believe it or not, they use like an oatmeal mix to keep the weeds and everything down so that there's no pesticides. Because look, our children are playing on it. You have kids rolling in the grass. You don't know what's in those pesticides, so everything is all natural. That's where that money is utilized. Town hall window replacement. Again, our windows were replaced 22 years ago. I know I was involved with it, but we don't replace all the windows at one time. We do 8 to 10 windows. Last year we did 8, and now we'll go systematically throughout the building until the whole thing is done. So that's a $10,000 allocation. DPW diagnostic computer with new cars today. Pete DiGeronimo, who was here, asked for a new computer so that they can read the diagnostics. Otherwise, we have to send it out, and it's very expensive. That diagnostic is done outside. Road department HVAC replacement. The road department, the HVAC system is shot there, so they need to replace the old one. Panther Park turf repair. Deputy Mayor, you brought up the issue earlier about the $6,000. Again, I put $65,000 here, but again, that's going to be in abeyance based on what our attorneys are telling us. In the event that they do come back before we do the capital bonding ordinance, we will go ahead with it. But if that's not settled out, we probably will not move ahead with the 65. And this is to replace the whole infield, the girls softball field, not just home plate and the pitcher's mound. And that's basically what the program is. Now, if you go down a little bit further, I just want to highlight what our grants are for this year. Again, I talked about the body-worn cameras. I told you that's DOJ grant, Investors Bank, so on and so forth. We're also going to replace the senior citizen bus, which is CDBG's Community Development Block Grant that we're getting from the County of Essex. Councilman?
When is that going to happen? I get calls from a lot of the seniors on that.
Well, the specs are out already for the new bus. I take that back. We have the new bus already. I'm not putting the new bus on until we entertain the new bus driver. We have somebody who is training right now, who is a current employee, and there will be a change about the bus driver because we're having a lot of complaints. I know one of our residents came to one of our meetings and voiced some displeasure. So we're moving in that direction, but I stand corrected. We do have the new bus. It was already bid out, and we already have it in hand, but I don't want to put that bus on the road until such time as new drivers on the road.
Say 3 months?
We're talking, as a matter of fact, the employee is going and take their test next week, the written test. I'm figuring another 30 days to take the driving test. I'm saying within 30 to 45 days, that should happen.
So 45 days would be a good thing.
45 days is a good word to put out there that you're going to see that bus out there.
Thank you.
Cedar Street reconstruction, again, that's an NJDOT grant, $420,000. That job is already bid. We're waiting for the weather to break for that to start. And that'll be reconstruction of Cedar Street from Ridge all the way up to Crestmont Road. Bowden Road overlay. Bowden Road's going to be overlaid all the way through, from Pompton Avenue all the way down to Little Falls Road. But again, I'm just waiting for Public Service to finish ripping up. We have exactly 22 patches in the roadway here from Bowden Road to Daniel Drive. Seems like they can't find their gas leaks, and I don't want to put a new overlay on it while they're ripping it up. So I'm just waiting for them to finish. But those are the grants that we already have and that are in the works, so that you have an overview of what's going to take place. So I think we have a pretty ambitious schedule coming up for the coming year. And then if you look real quick, we have a few small budget items, CATV, Environmental Committee, Open Space Committee, and the Ambulance and Rescue Squad.
Can I just ask a question?
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
The Panther Park concession equipment,
Yes.
I know it wasn't granted, but,
No, that was last year's. That was
oh, this is last year?
That was already purchased.
Oh, that was done?
All the equipment is purchased.
Oh, it is?
Everything is
Oh,
in there.
okay, good. They haven't used it yet, though.
No, it was put
Why
in,
aren't
it
they
was
using
put in the end of last year, but all the equipment is in there that needs to be in there to operate the concession.
And who can operate? Can like the...
The volunteer
can.
groups through Marisa,
So-
all they,
Okay.
the only thing that we have a set of rules on operations is that you leave the place as you
As you
found
found
it,
it,
as
yeah.
far as cleanliness. That's the only requirement.
Because I'm there all the time, and
There's
it
no gas,
hasn't been...
everything is electric there, because we don't want to have anything to do with flames
Right,
or
right.
anything like that. So it's all very safe equipment. There's refrigerators in there,
Okay.
there's stoves in there, there's, everything that you need to operate concessions is there. We
Okay.
already allocated. What you see is, where you see zeros, that means that was last year's project.
Okay. I thought that wasn't... Okay,
So the acquisition of generators,
got it.
that was last year's project. Library Bridge, that was done last year. So you
Right.
see the appropriation for last year, and nothing for this year.
Okay, good.
Anything else? If not, that's all I have for this evening. Thank you for your patience. I know it's long and tedious and sometimes a little boring, but this is a necessary step in order to accomplish the budget.
Thank you for a good job.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And again,
Lot of work.
this is not the end of the process. This is only part of it. This is the first step. And nothing that we discussed here is cast in stone. Anything can be changed before the introduction, and it also could be amended prior to the adoption. So you have up until April, when we adopt the budget, to make any changes if you see fit. But again, you're going to get a clearer picture of the whole thing once we do the revenue side of the budget, and then you'll have the appropriations mesh with the revenue and the tax rate struck, and then you'll get to analyze it at that point and say yay or nay. Or go back to the drawing board, sharpen your pencil, or whatever, the council's pleasure is in that matter. But I'm sure you're going to be pretty satisfied. Again, we have the 2% cap, so our budget limitations are very narrow at this point. So thank you again for your patience, and good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.